Have you ever looked at your Google business profile and thought, yeah, we've got good reviews, we're solid, but somehow you're still not getting as many calls as you should? Meanwhile, a competitor with worse reviews is getting picked more often. Yeah, that's not random. Google quietly changed how local rankings work in 2026, and most businesses are still playing by the old rules. It's not about having the best profile anymore. It's about having the most active one. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 shifts happening right now and what you actually need to do if you want to stay visible. But real quick, drop in a comment, either active or inactive. Where do you honestly think your Google business profile sits right now? We read these and I'll point you in the right direction. Here's a shift no one's really talking about. Google business profiles aren't being treated like listings anymore. They're being treated more like live assets, meaning Google is constantly asking one question: is this business active right now? Not last year, not when you optimized your profile. We're talking today, right now. And the way it answers that question is through what I call signals of life. Things like, are new reviews coming in? Is the business responding to them? Is anything being updated? Is there consistent activity over time? Because from Google's perspective, they don't just want to show a good business. They want to show a business that is relevant, that is engaged, and still operating at a high level on their profile today. And once you understand that, a lot of things start to click. You'll see businesses with fewer reviews outranking bigger ones. You'll see newer businesses climb faster than older ones. And it's not because they're better, it's because they're more active. That is the game today. And if your profile hasn't changed in a while, even if it looks solid, it's slowly starting to fade. Shift number 1. Activity matters more than perfection. So let's make this real. First major shift is this: activity now beats perfection. It used to be optimize your profile, add your photos, services, description, get some reviews, and you're good. Now, that's just the starting point, because a profile that hasn't been touched in months, even if it looks perfect, starts losing ground. Meanwhile, a business that's just consistently active, even if it's not perfect, starts climbing. And this is where most business owners get stuck. It's not that they don't know what to do, they do. Ask for reviews, respond to them, keep things like you're open during holiday hours updated, posts, FAQs. The problem is it doesn't happen consistently. You get busy, you forget, and with reviews, it feels awkward to ask. So it becomes random. And in this new Google environment, random equals invisible. The businesses that win have one thing in common. They have removed the randomness. And this is honestly what we've seen over and over with businesses using Reviewly.ai. Nothing crazy changes. They don't suddenly become marketing experts. They just stop relying on memory. Requests go out automatically. Follow-ups happen without thinking. Responses don't get skipped, so their profile stays active without them having to remember how to do it. And that's really the shift. The advantage isn't being better, it's being consistent. Shift number 2. Fresh reviews outweigh total volume. Now, here's the second shift, and this one catches a lot of people off guard. Fresh reviews matter more than total reviews. So having 200, 300, or even 500 reviews doesn't mean as much as it used to if those reviews are old, because Google is now prioritizing recency as a trust signal. And if you think about it from a customer perspective, it makes total sense. If you're choosing between two businesses, one has a ton of reviews from 2 to 3 years ago, or even 6 months ago. The other has reviews coming in every single week. Which one feels more relevant? Exactly. So the game has changed from how many reviews do I have to how consistently am I getting reviews. And this is where businesses unintentionally lose because they don't have a system. They have moments, they'll ask a few customers, maybe look at a handful of reviews, then it stops. No follow-up, no consistency, no momentum. And that's the key word here, momentum. Because when reviews come in consistently, Google sees that as this business is active, trusted, and current. And this is where having something running in the background makes a huge difference. Because instead of relying on, hey, don't forget to ask for a review, you've got a system that sends the request automatically, follows up if they don't respond, makes it easy for the customer. So instead of spikes, you get a steady, consistent flow. And once that flow starts, everything compounds. Shift number 3, responses equals a trust multiplier. All right, this next one is probably the most underrated shift. Review responses are no longer optional. Most businesses still treat responses like a nice to have. Like, yeah, we'll reply if we get time or say thank you, but Google doesn't see it that way anymore. It sees responses as engagement, activity, and a signal that the business actually cares. So if you are currently not responding, even if you have great reviews, your profile begins to look less active. And here's the second layer that most people miss. Customers are reading those responses. So when someone lands on your profile and sees quick replies, thoughtful responses, business-based keywords in those replies, consistent engagement, it builds trust instantly. It's like social proof stacked on top of social proof. But let's be real for a second. Why don't most businesses do this consistently? It's not because they don't want to, it's because it's annoying. You have to log in, figure out what to say, make sure it sounds right. So what happens? It gets skipped. And this is actually one of the biggest unlocks we've seen recently. AI removing that friction completely. Like with Reviewly, a review comes in, the business owner gets a text alert, they can have an AI assisted response drafted based on the tone that they want. You tap a yes or a Y in the text message and it's posted. No logging in, no overthinking. And what that does is simple. It turns something you should do into something that actually gets done. And in this new environment, that consistency becomes a real advantage. Shift number 4, Google is expanding how it matches searches. All right, this shift is a little more behind the scenes, but it's a big one. Google is getting way better at understanding what your business actually does. Not just your name, not just your category, but your services, your keywords, your context. So now when someone searches, Google is trying to match them with the most relevant business. Even if the business search is more specific or conversational, but here's the catch. It can only do that if your profile is up to date. So things like your services, your categories, your descriptions, even the words inside your reviews and responses matter. All of that feeds into how Google positions you, which means if you haven't touched your profile in months, you're invisible in a lot of searches you should be showing up for. Meanwhile, a competitor who's actively updating things and consistently getting fresh reviews is expanding their reach without realizing it. And this is where things start to stack in your favor, because when reviews are coming in regularly and responses are being posted consistently, you're naturally feeding Google more context, more keywords, more relevance, more signals. So instead of trying to game SEO, you're just staying active and your visibility expands as a result. Shift number 5, systems beat manual effort. Now, this last shift, this is the one that ties everything together. Systems are now beating manual effort because everything we just talked about, getting reviews, following up, responding, staying active, updating your profile, none of this is hard. But doing it consistently, that's where everything breaks. Most businesses rely on good intentions. Yeah, we should ask more. We'll respond later. We'll update that next week. And it just doesn't happen. Not because they're lazy, because they're busy. And in this new Google environment, inconsistency gets punished. So the businesses that are winning right now aren't necessarily smarter. They just have systems running in the background where reviews are being requested automatically. Follow-ups happen without needing to think. Responses don't get skipped. Activity never drops. And that's where something like Reviewly fits in naturally. It's not about adding more work. It's about removing the need to think about it all. Because once the system is in place, your profile stays active, even when you're not paying attention. And that's the real shift. The businesses that automate consistency are the ones that stay visible. So if you're watching this and thinking, all right, this makes sense, but what do I actually do with it? I've got you. I put together a simple playbook that breaks all of this down into something you can actually follow. It's called the Google Profile Activity Playbook. And inside it, I walk you through what to do weekly to stay active, how to consistently generate reviews without it feeling awkward, what to say, when to send it, and how to build momentum without overthinking it. Nothing complicated, just what actually works. If you want it, comment playbook down below and I'll send you the link. And real quick, if you're into this kind of stuff, AI, automation, growth systems, you'll probably like what you're going to see inside our community at agencystarterkit.com. That's where we go deeper. We talk about systems like real world setups, what's actually working right now in our agency, in our business, and our clients' businesses with real proof and results. No fluff, just people building and sharing what's working. So here's the bottom line. Google doesn't reward businesses that just look good anymore. It rewards businesses that stay active. And the difference between those two, it's consistency. So the real question is, do you have a system keeping your profile active? Or are you relying on memory? Because in 2026, that's the difference between being visible and being invisible. Drop playbook if you want that system, and I will see you in the next one.